Welcome, everybody, to my driver ratings for the 2025 Formula 1 Hungarian Grand Prix. If you don't know, every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we hop on the Twitch stream. We have a look at the race highlights. We have a look at the drivers' reactions. We have a look at F1 Fantasy, F1 Predict. We have a look at Discord, at all the news and memes from the weekend. And then at the end, we go live on both Twitch and YouTube, and we do our driver ratings. Now, how it works is we go through every driver from reverse finishing order in the race and just discuss how their weekend went as a whole, and then we rate them out of 10. There'll be a poll up in chat that you can type in Twitch chat what you want to vote for, and you'll be able to see it on the poll. And yeah, in terms of ratings, I like to rate the drivers solely off of their performance. No bias, no rookie bias, no experience bias, anything, just solely their performance. Over the course of the weekend, we do take qualifying into account. Everyone rates differently, remember, at the end of the day, so, you know, feel free to rate how you want. I'm going to rate how I want. And yeah, after you vote in chat what you rate, let me know why, because then we can discuss it. All right, let's get into it. Starting off in last place, we have got Ollie Bearman. Bearman. Why do I always say his name weird? Okay, poll is up in chat, so this is how it's going to look. Rate Ollie Bearman's Hungarian Grand Prix. All you need to do is in Twitch chat, type the number you want to rate Ollie, and it'll pop up on the poll. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, come join us on Twitch, because that is where you'll be able to type in chat for it to pop up. Yeah, simple as that. And again, after you type in chat, then let me know why you voted for that. So, Ollie, in qualifying, he qualified P11. Once again, he outqualified his teammate by 3/10. Yeah, outqualified, excuse me, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Franco Colapinto, Kimi Antonelli, Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon. He did a good job in making it up to P11. I think it would have been hard for him to make Q3. To be honest, I think there was a potential for him to make Q3, given the lack of pace the V-Carb had, but still, P11 was a great place to start. Then in the race, he had a DNF due to, what was the DNF for again? What was the DNF for? Damage. What did he get damage from? Was it from him? If it was from him, then that would affect his ranking. I don't know. Right. I don't know. I feel like part of me is like, we got to give Ollie inconclusive because we didn't get to see how the rest of his race played out because he got damage. So I don't know what to rank him, what to rate him. Anyways, he ended up DNFing because of what seems to be a damage problem. But yeah, I'm torn. I'm torn because I feel like his qualifying was good. I think I'd give him for qualifying, I'd probably give him a 7.5. But then the race, I mean, he didn't really have much pace before the issues. Actually, where was he at the start of the race before he retired?
There he goes. He's going to be really...
Yeah, he was chilling at P10.
Moves into the chicane for Ferrari, and it was 22.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give Ollie I think I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I think he's outclassed Ocon majorly in qualifying. He's qualified P11. Ocon's qualified P18. He's outqualified a lot of people that he should have. I think he could have done better in qualifying, yes, but he qualified where he should be. And probably better than he should be. And then in the race, he was actually cruising in the pack. He didn't lose positions or anything like that. He just got unlucky with damage. That doesn't seem to be his fault at all. I can't give him higher than 7.5 because, again, we didn't get to see where he finished. But I think 7.5 is a fair rating for Bearman. So I'm going to go with that. It doesn't really make sense because he didn't finish the race. But, again, we're rating the performance, not the result. So I think 7.5 is fair. No Ollie fans in the chat. Yeah, no one here to defend the boy. What's up, Jordan? Welcome to the stream. Bearman had rare damage. Right, okay. All right. Majority of you guys saying 5. I disagree with that low, considering how well he did in qualifying. If Bearman gets a 5, then fucking Ocon should get a 2. But anyways, we'll disagree. We're not starting off good today. All right, next up. First of the drivers that did finish the race, we have got Pierre Gasly. What do you rate Pierre Gasly's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in chat. So, Pierre Gasly, he qualified P17. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 1/10. Yeah, you are qualified by... Alright. No one really other than his teammate because the Alpine was at the back of the grid. And then in the race, he also finished behind Franco, and they finished in dead last together. I think he had a very, 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 very weak weekend, but I think that car is bad. So, yeah. Did he have an instance, though? I don't think so. So, I'm going to go 2.5 for Gasly. Worse than his teammate. No race pace. I think the car's bad, but, you know, we've seen this year when you have a bad car, you can still put in some decent performances. So, yeah. Actually, we'll go... I don't know. Usually I don't go lower than 3 unless they have mistakes and stuff. So I'm probably just going to keep it at a 3. Yeah, I'm going to keep it at a 3. Because I don't go lower than 3 unless I like crash, spin, make mistakes. He was just slow. And the car was slow. So I'm going to go 3 for Gasly. What's up, Vulture? How's it going, dude? Hope you're doing physically and mentally great. And I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm not mentally doing great. Well, it's not like mentally. It's just like I can't fucking speak today. I don't know what's happening to me. But I'm having a good day, dude. I'm having a good day. Thank you. Hope you are as well. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about Gasly. Outqualified and outraced by a teammate and collided with Carlos. Oh, he did collide with Carlos. Yeah, okay, he's going down to 2.5 then. 2.5 because of the collision. Good point. Good point. See, this is why you guys are here to remind me. All right, majority of you guys saying 3 for Gasly. Next up is his teammate, Franco Colapinto. Get your votes in for Franco. What do you rate Franco Colapinto out of 10? So, Franco, opposite of what we said for Gasly, outqualified his teammate by 1/10, made it through to Q2. He also outqualified Kimi Antonelli and Yuki Tsunoda. And then in the race, dropped positions, sadly, and finished in second last with his teammate. In the race, he ended up finishing...
Result for him.
Oh, actually, he finished behind Gasly. Gasly then dropped behind him because of the penalty. So, yeah, I think for Franco's standards, I would give him a 4 because he finally outperformed his teammate. But maybe he does deserve a 4. He was still slow. And he still finished behind his teammate in the race, despite Gasly getting the penalty. Maybe I'm gonna go 3.5. I'm gonna go 3.5. I did make Q2 though, didn't he? To be honest, I'm gonna give him a 4. I'm gonna give him a 4. 1 for outperforming his teammate in quali. And making Q2. No, but he still came last though. He still came last. He had a slow stop. True. Okay, it's back up to a 4. It's back up to a 4. I'm gonna go 4. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But I think Alpine just had a poo weekend in general. But yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Colapinto. So yeah. All right, Franco. Majority of you guys saying 5. Maybe for Franco's standards, a 5, but otherwise, I disagree. All right, next up. Oh my god, another shocking weekend for Yuki. What do you rate Yuki's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in. So Yuki went out in Q1. He got out-qualified by only 1/10 on Max. So he was close to Max. But was that Max being bad and making Yuki look better? Or was the Red Bull bad? Either way, he went out in Q1. He got out-qualified by Franco Colapinto, Carlos Sainz, Ollie Behrman, and the 2 V-Carbs. It's just not good. It's just not good. And then in the race, he finished in P17, was not able to move up through the field. Apparently, he got some damage, but still, I don't think he really made any progress before that even happened. And yeah, finished... I can't even bother doing the math. Way too far down on his teammate. Yeah, very poor weekend again for Yuki. I think the car was kind of bad this weekend. So I'm going to give Yuki a 3. He didn't crash. He didn't make any mistakes. He was just slow as per usual. And I think that car was bad. And yeah, 3 is kind of what I give people for not making mistakes. In saying that, should he get a higher rating than Gasly? Probably not. But fuck it. It's complicated. It's complicated for the second Red Bull seat. Car kind of trash, but still going to Q2. He didn't get into Q2. He went out in Q1. He got P16. Yeah, he got P16. 1 for just existing for Pookie Tsunoda. Sup, Omara? Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. All right, I don't really have much more to say about Yuki. It's just tough, man. It's just tough. Majority of you guys saying a 2. Fairs. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Next up, we have got Esteban Ocon. What do you rate Ocon out of 10? Get your votes in Twitch chat. Okay. Ocon in qualifying got out-qualified by his teammate by 3/10. He went out in Q1. He got out-qualified by Gasly, Colapinto, Yuki, Carlos, and the 2 V-Carbs, and Bortoletto. Not good. Not good. And then in the race, he managed to move up to P16 ahead of Yuki and Gasly. And that was it. That was it. Bamman was showing that it was possible for them to be on the verge and maybe potentially get points in the right scenario. And because of Ocon qualifying bad and also not working his way through the field, that never happened because of Bamman's problems. So, yeah, I think Ocon's going to get a 3 as well. Again, no mistakes, no crashing, but just slow this weekend. So yeah, 3 for Ocon. Haas strategy and pit stops messed him up again. Wait, really? Out-qualified and would have been out-raced by a teammate? Yeah. I think there's much more to say about Ocon. We're banging the bums out right now. We're banging the bums out right now. All right. Majority of you guys saying 3 for Ocon. We agree. We agree. All right. Next up, we have got, interesting one. Alex Albon. What do you rate Alex Albon's weekend out of 10? Guys, if you just tuned in the stream, all you have to do is type in Twitch chat the number that you want to vote on the poll. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come over to Twitch. That's where you can vote on the polls. Otherwise, it's not going to count. But yeah, Alex Albon. Now, in qualifying, he went out in Q1 in dead last. He got out-qualified by his teammate by 6/10. He got out-qualified by the Saubers, by the Alpines, by the Haases. Yeah, it was not good. Now, in saying that, Carlos only managed P13, so it's not the end of the world. It's not like the Williams was capable of Q3 this weekend, but Albon could have done a lot better. In the race, he managed to move up ahead of the drivers in front of him and finish right behind Sainz, specifically 5 seconds down. But still, qualifying kind of set him up badly. At least he showed some decent race pace. I'm thinking probably like a 4. In saying that, I think the Williams genuinely finished where it should be. No, it shouldn't have finished behind Hülkenberg and a Sauber. But still, it kind of still finished where it should be. The Williams was not good this weekend. I'm thinking maybe a 4.5. No. It was still a below average weekend, I think, for Albon in a Williams, because we've seen what he can do in a worse car. I think that's the thing. There was so many bad cars and teams and drivers this weekend that someone like Albon should be capitalizing, but he didn't. So, yeah. Guys, after you type your number in chat, let me know why you voted that. I want to be able to discuss your guys' opinions. He did a 1-stop doing 60 laps. I think it's more like a 4 or 5, right? Awful quali. Want a job? Do I want a job? What type of job are we talking? Oh, what the fuck have I done? I just opened up your fucking channel page in accident. Anyways, not much more to really say about Albon. We bang it out these back markers right now. Majority of you guys saying 4, so we agree. We agree. Okay, next up, we have got his teammate, Carlos Sainz. What do you rate Carlos Sainz's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in. Oh, wait, I just realized you couldn't even see my screen. I was worried that me popping that up meant you guys could see it. Okay, so Carlos Sainz in qualified P13. He out-qualified his teammate by 6/10. He did get out-qualified by Behrman in the Haas and Bortoletto in the Sauber. But other than that, I think he kind of qualified where I expected the Williams to be. So, yeah. And then in the race, he kind of finished where I expected him to be. He did finish behind Hülkenberg, which is not great, but he finished ahead of his teammate. So I think overall he's kind of had like an average weekend, like where I expect Sainz to be in the Williams. I would give him a 5.5, maybe 6, but getting beaten by Hülkenberg, who qualified behind you, is not great. So I'm going to leave him at a 5, I think. It was better than Albon, but still wasn't good. Yeah, maximized the car, but got pushed by PM their weekend. Yeah, maybe it is a 5.5, actually. He did do better than Albon, to be fair. But it's just kind of hard because that car was poo. Hoi, what is up? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about Sainz. There's not much really to say about any of these guys. He did get fucked over by Gasly, but there's not much he could have done. He overtook Holt, but Gasly crashed into him. Okay, then 5.5 it is then. 5.5 it is. It's hard to rate cars. He was not shown, and I remember nothing that stands out from him. Yeah, exactly. And I think there's also expectations, right? Like, I think the expectations for Williams are so high at the moment. Anyways, that's Carlos. Next up, we have got Nico Hulkenberg. What do you rate Nico Hulkenberg's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in. So Hulkenberg had a terrible qualifying, went out in P19, got out qualified by his teammate by 5/10, and his teammate went on to qualify 12 positions higher in P7. Then, in the race, Hulk did move up the field to P13, so 6 positions, which was good to see. But still, 7 positions down on his teammate in the end. More specifically, 23, 24, 30, 40, 42, 43, 44, 45 seconds down on his teammate in the race. Yeah, look. Not good. Not good in comparison to his teammate. I think quite underwhelming. I think given where that Sauber should have been, he should have been in the points with Bortoletto. I think I'm giving him a 4. I think similar to Albon, undelivered in comparison to his teammate. Unlike Albon, though, at least he moved himself up the grid in the race. But I think there was higher expectations for Sauber, so I'm giving Hulk a 4. It wasn't terrible. It was just nowhere near the expectations of what that Sauber should have been getting. Was bad compared to his teammate. Sup, Shy Tam on the stream. Same rate as Albon because he had a decent quality but fell in the race. Oh, you're talking about Sainz, I think. 5 for quality again. He needs to improve Q1. So bad compared to a rookie. Could have gotten himself into the points this weekend. Should have. Yeah, should have. 100%. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 5. I think that's a bit too high, personally, for a driver that was nowhere near his teammate, and his teammate was second best of the rest. But I see you. I see you. All right, next up, we have got Lewis Hamilton. Poll is up. What do you rate Lewis out of 10? Oh, fuck, my back. Lewis. So, Lewis qualified P12. He got out-qualified by his teammates in Q2 by 3/10. And Leclerc went on to get pole position. Lewis went out in P12 behind Ollie Behrman, behind the V-Cubs, behind Bortoletto, behind the Aston Martins. Terrible qualifying. I would give him a 3 for qualifying. At least he didn't make mistakes. At least he made Q2, but very underwhelming. And then in the race, he somehow managed to hold position with a driver DNFing in front of him. So basically, Kimi got past him. Kimi showed that he could work his way up the field. Lewis couldn't. Now, you might be like, well, Lewis, Leclerc dropped down the field. What we know about Leclerc is that he had damage. And prior to the damage, he had a car capable of winning that race. So Lewis was in a car capable of winning the race and managed to lose a position. How does that happen? How does that work? Honestly, terrible weekend for Lewis. The only shining light of his weekend is that he made Q2. And that, when your teammate's on pole, that's terrible. Part of me wants to say 3 because he didn't make any mistakes. He didn't crash. But when your teammate's on pole and you're P12 and you're in a car that could have won the race and you're finishing P12, I'm just like, what are you doing? I feel like it needs to be lower because it is underwhelming. I'm going 2.5 because it was extremely underwhelming. Even though it didn't make mistakes or crash, it was extremely underwhelming. He should perform near podium performance like his teammate, but can't even get points. Lewis, Yuki, and Kimi should make a therapy group. Yeah. All for 3 different reasons, though. Kimi is having I'm mentally not prepared and like can't handle the pressure and what's happening right now. Lewis is, I can't figure out why I'm not the GOAT anymore. And Yuki is, I don't understand why I can't drive this car. Awful quality, nowhere near in the race. He finished in the same place. At the moment, Hamilton sounds like he wants to... Okay. He was so long behind much slower cars, and we saw that it was possible to overtake that. Lewis just needs to get his head right. Yeah. All three are having to compete with elite drivers and can't figure it out. Yeah, that as well. Good point. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 3. I agree. I've knocked 0.5 off just because it was extremely underwhelming. And I do that when a driver is extremely underwhelming. And that was Lewis this weekend. I can't believe he's managed to have a worse weekend than last week. I mean, obviously last week he made his positions up in the race. But like that sprint qualifying, sprint and quali was just poo. Anyways, next up, we have got the last driver to not get points, Mr. Isaac Hadjar. What do you rate Hadjar's weekend out of 10? Wait, did we, other than Behrman, did anyone get above a 5? Oh, yeah, signs. No way. Only 2. Wait, we'll do Hadjar's rating first. I was going to say, no way, only 2 out of the 10 got above a 5. That's crazy. Okay, Isaac Hadjar in quali. He got out-qualified by Liam by 1/10. Now, I think both VCAR boys could have done better in qualifying. Now, I spoke about this a lot this weekend. I feel like we're in this weird spot at the moment with VCAR, with Sauber, with Aston, basically all the midfield, backfield teams, right? Where they make Q3 and it's like, well done, because they're all competing for Q3. It's hard to make Q3 with that much competition. But once you get to Q3... you've got 4 to 5 drivers, it feels, every week fighting for P10 to P6, depending on how many of the big dogs qualify and stuff. And Hadjar has kind of left qualifying frustrated, going, I should have beat my teammate. I probably could have beaten Max because he was only a 10th in front of Liam. And I could have beaten then Gabriel Bortoleto. You know what I mean? So even though he's made Q3 and done well, he's still been beaten by his teammate and he's still not qualified where he should have ahead of Bortoleto. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean? Either way, decent qualifying. I would give him a 6.57 for quali, I think. Again, behind his teammate, but doing his job of making Q3, but it could have been better. Then in the race, he's managed to drop down behind Kimi and dropped outside of the points, whilst his teammates managed to move up a position. So, yeah, a bit of a poor race for Hadjar, if I'm being honest. But I don't think it was a terrible weekend. I still think he's done a good job. I'm thinking it's at least a 5. Part of me wants to go higher. Like, he wasn't that far off of Liam, but he could have done better in quali. And in the race, it wasn't bad. It just could have been better. He finished... oh, actually, to be fair, he finished 19 seconds behind Liam. I'm going to give him a 5 or 5.5. Was it just above average? No, I think it's bum average. He did his job in the VCAR, but yeah. I'll go 5. Out-qualified by his teammate but they both could have done better. And race 20 seconds behind your teammate. I'm going 5. What are you guys saying, though? Maybe you'll make me change my mind. Ponden, Red Bull needs somebody that start their career in the Red Bull like Max, you reckon? You reckon they should just move Arvid straight up? Dropped out of the points while his teammate made positions and got P8. Yeah, 6 seems fair, not gonna lie. For me, he had just a mare race, nothing to sing about, but not a disaster. Yeah, Goat, what is up, dude? On the stream. Grew Loca, thank you for the follow. By the way, guys, if you are enjoying the stream so far, be sure to follow down below. We do Grand Prix review and driver ratings every Monday after a Grand Prix, so be sure to join us after future Grand Prix. Oh, he got hit in the hand by gravel. True. I don't think that affected his performance in the race, though. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 5, so we agree on that one. All right, we move on to the top 10 now. Next up, we've got Kimi Antonelli. Now, Kimi's always an interesting one because people tend to rate Kimi higher than what he should be because he's a rookie. But everyone rates differently. But what do you rate Kimi out of 10? Get your votes in. Now, again, guys, as we move into the top 10, just to let you know, here's the poll. All you have to do is type in Twitch chat the number that you want to vote, and it will pop up on the Twitch chat. If you're on YouTube right now, come over to the Twitch stream. That is where you can type in chat to get your vote in on the poll. Yeah. Okay, Kimi. In qualifying, he went out in Q2. Not just in Q2, but in dead last of Q2. He got out-qualified by his teammate by, to be fair, only 1/10. No, sorry, I lie. 1.1 seconds. I think, Kimi invalidated his lap. So not only was he slow and not going to make it anyway, but he had invalidated his lap as well, which just goes to show how hard Kimi's pushing. He got out-qualified by Franco, by Sainz, by Behrman, by the V-Carbs, by Bortoletto, by the Astons. And yeah, while he's out in 15th, his teammates qualifying up in P4, 11 positions ahead. Very, very bad qualifying for Kimi. Yeah, should have easily made Q3 and been up there with his teammate. And then in the race, he, unlike Lewis, managed to move up positions and get a point, nab a point off of Hedger. But still, he's finished 7 positions below his teammate while his teammate's on the podium. And more specifically, he's finished 14, 26, 30, 32, 33, 35, 45, 52 seconds, almost a lap down on his teammate. What did I give Hadja? I gave Hadja a 5, right? Hadja performed roughly near where his car should be and a bit worse than his teammate, and I gave him a 5. Antonelli's performed nowhere near where his teammate is and nowhere near where the car should be. But at least he's nabbed a point. But, like, is that good? Is nabbing a point in a Mercedes when your teammate's on the podium good? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think that's a 4. I think he's had a below average weekend. He's been out-qualified to fuck. And he's been, which is in turn made him being outraced to shit. I think it's a 4. I don't think you can rate him higher than a 5. If you're saying a P10 for Antonelli is an average weekend when you're almost a lap down on your teammate, that's not an average weekend. That's disappointing, man. That's disappointing. Anyways, what you guys got to say? Yeah, but his teammate is a P3 merchant. Better quality than in Spa, but still bad. Good recovery, racing the points. Was caught in the Alonso train. How do you expect him to have pace? But he shouldn't be qualifying there. He shouldn't be qualifying 11 positions below his teammate. Russell is way better than Lawson. If we were rating performance, he couldn't keep within the lines. He moved up, but he is in the Merc. He should be way higher. One of the few people to pass, but then again, he shouldn't have been there. Yeah. What's up, best dude? 4 is harsh, you reckon? But again, I mean, I do get what you're saying. Russell's better than Liam, so that makes sense. But, and I do understand what you guys are saying about the Alonso train, but still, like, you shouldn't have qualified there. It's an average weekend for the past weekends he had. Yeah, true. But again, I think overall for that Mercedes, your teammate's on the podium and you're a lap down in P10, man. But again, I think if you take Lewis out of this weekend, I don't think people would rate Antonelli as high. I think it's because it's like, look, Lewis got stuck, so Antonelli actually it was decent, but I think differently. I think I'm going 4 personally. I'm going 4. But majority of you guys going 5. Look, I get it. But I think we got to be harsh on Kimi. Yes, he's a rookie. But when you're rating a performance, I think that's an underwhelming performance, personally. Anyways, next up, we have got we've got Max Verstappen. What do we rate Max out of 10? This is a hard one because Max's standards are so high. Max's standards are so high, and we know that Max is so consistent, and usually when there's a bad weekend, it's unrelated to Max. But for some reason, I feel like he still could have got more out of the car than what he did. I don't know. Anyways, in qualifying, he qualified P8. He qualified ahead of the V-Carbs. He qualified ahead of Lewis, ahead of Kimi, and ahead of his teammate by 1/10. Now, this is a weird one. Again, I was talking about it before with Yuki. Yuki being 1/10 off of Max, was that Yuki doing good or was that Max doing bad? The fact that Max made Q3 probably shows to me that it was Max doing bad in Q1. But in saying that, I didn't predict Max to make Q3 this weekend. After looking at practice, after looking at Q1, I thought Max was 100% going out in Q2. So I feel like Max deserves props for making Q3 and outperforming the V-Carbs, especially seeing how the race turned out with a V-Carb finishing ahead of him. I do think it was actually good that Max made Q3. But I still think Max, we know what Max is like. You know, no matter what car you give him, he's going to outperform it. And I think getting out qualified by Bortoleto, Stroll, and Alonso is unusual for Max. It's really hard. I think it's really hard to work out. Did Max actually have an off weekend, or was the car so fucking shit and he's just managed to somehow bring it to P8? Because I don't know. It's really hard, man. It's really hard. I think Max is one of the only drivers on the grid where you know he's so fucking good that I see a P8 or a P9 and I'm like, it's the car. But at what point you just go, maybe Max did have an off weekend? You know what I mean? But I still think it's the car. Did his best, but he chose the wrong strat. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You gotta. I always say that the drive is just important when it comes to the strategy and communicating the tires as the team. So, he is somewhat at fault for the strategy. Mason, what's up, dude? We're on the straight. He's got the race pace to be in the points, but poor qualifying are hindering his points. Oh, you're talking about Kimmy. The car was shit though. Man was getting compared with Alpine on times. Yeah, true. Arse car, arse setup, arse strategy. He could have passed Lawson, Bortoleto, and Stroll to the very least. Yeah, honestly, that's the thing though. Max during the race was actually, he got past Liam, he got past Stroll. He was on for a good result, and then they did the wrong strategy, or he did the wrong strategy. Well, they did the wrong strategy. And he finished behind Bortoleto and Stroll and Liam. Sorry. Yeah. He's finished 72 seconds off the lead and 3 seconds off of Liam in the end. Yeah, I don't know. I think given where that car is, okay, put it this way. I think that car should have gone out in Q2, and he's made Q3 and out-qualified the V-Carbs. So I would give him probably a 7 for qualifying, if I'm being honest. I know some people are going to be like, oh, that's glazing Max, but I generally don't think that car should have been making Q3. And I generally think most drivers, if not almost every driver in that Red Bull in that situation, would not be making Q3, but he did. And then in the race, I would probably expect the car, I don't know, given this is the thing. With the car and the strategy he had, I would say he shouldn't be getting points, but he did. And he got P9, but he got beaten out by Liam, Lance, and Bortoleto solely because he did a bad strategy. So it's kind of like, I don't know. You know what? I'd probably give him a 7. If he finished here, I probably would have given him a 7. But the fact that we saw that he could have gotten P6, but then didn't, probably feel him more a 6. Like an above average weekend given the Red Bull, but still not a great weekend. But it's Max, man. I'm like, we know that this is the car, not him. Max made 2 stopper work. He only lost 1 position compared to where he started, but the start was poor. The strat was poor. Maybe he stayed up playing iRacing, so he got a poor quality in race. This guy. He probably could have just dragged those hards to the end and still finished ahead of Alonso, yeah. What is your basis off going off of out in Q2? Who would have been ahead, you think? Who should have been ahead? Well, Lewis and Antonelli for starters. Lewis and Antonelli should have been making Q3 in a Ferrari and Mercedes because they were better than a Red Bull. And I think yeah, and the V-Carbs. So yeah, that would have knocked Max out in Q2. But yeah, I guess Max was maybe like lucky in a sense this weekend that so many of the midfield teams were like off the pace. Yeah, this is not average Max Verstappen performance, man. Just give him 4. But we're rating the performance, not the result. For a Max result, this is a stinker. This is a 4 out of 10 for sure. But the reason he got this result, I don't think is because of Max necessarily. 6 might be a bit too generous. 5.5 is fair. He almost crashed with Lewis, true, but he did get away with it. No pen. What's up, Scotty Bot? How's it going, dude? Did we do Norris Piastri yet? No, we're going in reverse finishing order, so we'll get to them at the end. Yeah, I think I would leave Max at a 6. I think it's an above average weekend given that car, but I think it's maybe lower than what I'd expect for Max's standards. I think, put it this way, I think we're used to Max overperforming the car and always getting the most out of his car, and I think this weekend, finishing behind Bortoleto and Stroll, he didn't maximize it. And even in qualifying, and Liam, sorry, and Liam. And I think in qualifying, he could have out-qualified Gabby as well. So I think he's still underperformed given that car being bad. Majority of you guys saying a 4, man. I don't know. I couldn't give Max a 4 out of 10 with that car that he's driving. I think that's too much bias on the fact that he's just so good that it's like, he's got high expectations than that. But everyone rates differently. So you guys rate how you want. But yeah, I'm going to give Max a 6. Anyways, moving on to my boy, Liam Lawson. What do you guys rate Liam out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. What a weekend for this man. Made it through to Q3. Outqualified his teammate by 1/10. However, like I said with Hadja, I think there was more room for improvement in Q3. I think he could have outqualified Max, which is crazy to say. I genuinely think Max had a worse car than the V-Carb this weekend. And I think he could have outqualified Borderletto, who's only a 10th off. And then there's an argument that, no, I think the Aston was just locked in qualifying. So yeah, I think there's room for improvement in qualifying. And Hadja's admitted that. Even Liam himself admitted that. And I mentioned it before with Hadja. I'm not going to repeat it. But we're in that weird spot now where, like, the drivers who make Q3 feel bad about themselves because they can get deeper into Q3. And I think Liam is one of those people. But I'd still give Liam 8.5 for quali. And then in the race, he's absolutely smashed it, man. He's smashed it with the tire management. He's moved up a position while his teammates lost a position. He's finished ahead of Max Verstappen, which means he's the best finishing Red Bull. And he's only finished 1 second behind Stroll, who started 3 positions up the road in arguably a better car. And not that far behind Borderletto either. But again, if he had a qualified ahead of Borderletto, could he finish where Borderletto did? Maybe. We'll never know. He did lose out to Max off the start, too. Why is there just like a hair sticking out of my fucking eye right now? But yeah, I think Liam's had a really, really solid weekend. Solid points. Could have done better in Q3 though. And if he had done better in Q3, maybe he could have done better in the race, but he still had a very solid race. So I'm going to give Liam a 8.5, I think. Yeah. 8 or 8.5. I don't know. I feel like 8's too low for a driver that goes 40 laps on one tire, moves up a position, finishes ahead of the other Red Bull. You know what I mean? But then I'm also like, well, Borderletto finished P6, so is 8.5 too high? I don't know. Maybe I'm comparing him too much to Borderletto now. I can't give a 4 out of 10 like contract obligations. Okay, dude. Not gonna lie, this race, I had sweaty palms towards the end. Top finishing Red Bull driver and going to Q3 got to be an 8. I think he should return to Red Bull to nerf him and bring him back to V-Carb. I feel as if Max did his absolute best. I don't think that the more was in it. Look at where they were in practice. The fact he was in Q3 in points with that boat was impressive. No, I agree. Comparing to his teammate, that's insane. He could have done better in quali, as you said, and the race pace was good. He's becoming a much cleaner driver, less incidents and penalties when trying to defend or overtake. Let's shift Max to V-Car, better chances. Not best the rest and full in qualifying. You can't praise Liam for finishing ahead of Max when you're not going to downgrade Max for finishing behind Liam. I did downgrade Max for finishing behind Liam. I said I would have given Max a 7 if he didn't finish behind Liam. Is Sauber better than Red Bull? Then Red Bull. I think if the Red Bull's in the right window, it's better than Sauber. Consistently, it's better than Sauber, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at 8.5. Maybe that's 0.5 for Glaze, but maybe he actually deserves an 8.5, given he did his job, and he did his job well, and moved up a position in the race. I think if he finished behind Max, it would have been an 8. I think we'll give him 0.5 for finishing ahead of Max. But there was more room for improvement. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I would have given him an extra 1 for qualifying higher. And then that in turn would have got him more points in the race. Anyways. Majority of you guys said an 8 as well. For Liam. Alright, next up, we have got Lance Stroll. What do you rate Lance Stroll's weekend out of... Oh, what the fuck? What do you rate Lance Stroll's weekend out of 10? Get your votes in. Lance is an interesting one. Because... So, Lance, in qualifying, qualified P6, which is really good. Right behind his teammate by 18 milliseconds. There is an argument that the Astons actually could have outqualified the Mercedes and the McLarens, given how the qualifying played out. There was only a 10th in it, but I think if you take that out of it, I think they've qualified exactly where they should be. Best of the rest, ahead of Max, ahead of the V-Carbs, ahead of Bortoletto. exactly where they should be, and they're neck and neck. So very solid from Stroll. However, in the race, he has lost time to his teammate. He's lost 10 seconds to be exact, and he's finished behind Bortoleto, almost getting overtaken by Liam as well. So I think there's room for improvement in the race for him to have done better. But still, P7 and Aston is great. So yeah, I don't know. Did he do better or worse than Liam? I mean, I think Liam's beaten his teammate, so he's done worse in that sense. And Liam's probably had a worse car in quali and the race. I don't know. I feel like they've done pretty similar. I'm thinking I'm gonna give Stroll either an 8 or a 7.5 because he has finished behind Bortoleto. He's lost a position at a track that you shouldn't be losing. It should be hard to lose positions at. 8 or 7.5, I'm not sure. 1/10 off and a bit off pole. Aston is a quali car, not good on the tires. Aston is a draggy car, helping in the circuit. Sup, Claudig and Beatriz, bottom of the string, guys. Aston had no new tires for the race, just for your info. Oh, interesting. Let's add a point for everyone above Max, just for being better than Mac. One of his best weekends ever. Good pace in all sessions and solid race. Yeah. I think I'm going to give him an 8. I think I'm going to give him an 8. I'm going to knock 0.5 off in comparison to Liam because he lost a position and Liam gained a position. And Liam did better than his teammate. Lance didn't. When you word it like that, Liam did better than Stroll. So maybe it is a 7.5 for Stroll. What do you guys rate him? Oh, you guys give him an 8. Maybe I'll keep it an 8. We'll keep it an 8. Fuck it. We'll keep it an 8. Heart pounding. What is up? One the stream. One lap older tire is not old though. It's just scrub. Yeah, true. I'm gonna keep Stroll at an 8. Maybe I'll change it in a minute, but for now, Stroll's an 8. Well done, Stroll. Well done, buddy. Next up, we have got Gabriel Bortoleto. This man, what a Grand Prix. Get your votes in on the poll. What do you rate Gabby out of 10? Now, Gabby qualified P7 in a Sauber, out-qualifying Max and the V-Carbs, out-qualifying his teammate in Q1 by 5/10. He smashed his teammate. He's absolutely smashed qualifying exactly where he should be. Some people might be like, well, he could have out-qualified the Astons. No, those Astons were cracked out on quali. He's qualified exactly where he should be. 10 out of 10. Then, in the race, he's done even better. He's finished ahead of Stroll, which he probably shouldn't have. He's moved up the grid. He's defended off Liam. He's defended off Max Verstappen. And he's finished only 7 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. So he smashed it. He's done nothing wrong. He's overperformed in the car. He gets a 10 out of 10. I was going to go down the rabbit hole of being like, well, guys, the Sauber's better than what we think. So it's not as good as we think. But at the end of the day, he finished best of the rest. If you take Aston Martin out of the equation in qualifying, he's finished best of the rest. And I don't think that Bortoleto was ever going to beat Alonso on a track like that. He smashed it. 10 out of 10 for Gabby. You know what? I'll rate it at 10.5. Aston was a faster car, plus overtaking Alonso is very hard. Exactly. When we're rating the driver, so in this case Bortoleto, we don't take into account how good they are. We just rate them solely off performance. But when we're comparing them to someone, in this case Alonso, you have to be like, well, Alonso's this driver, and he was able to, yada yada yada. Top 2 rookie this year, no doubt. You reckon? He's still to overtake his manager. He's still yet to overtake his manager. Yeah. Here's the rookie of the year so far with a good car. You reckon Bortoleto's doing better than Hadja? Oof. I still think Hadja's rookie of the year by far, in my opinion. I think Bortoleto's taken the 2nd spot now, above Antonelli. But we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But put it this way. I think Hadja, Antonelli, Hadja has been consistently good this year. Like, consistently good. He's my rookie of the year. I think Bortoleto, Behrman, and Antonelli have had really good moments, but also being quite inconsistent and like some poor moments as well. To be fair, Antonelli and Behrman have had poor moments. Bortoleto hasn't really had a poor moment. He's just been average, but inconsistent. And then Liam started off really poor at the start of the season, no doubt. But the last 5 races have been really good. So honestly, all the rookies other than Doan have been, other than Colapinto have been really good this year. Or like have been worthy of their time in Formula One. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, Liam this or Behrman that. They're not doing that great. But compare Behrman and Liam to Guang Yu Zhou, to Antonio Giovinazzi, to Latifi, to Sargent, to Mazepin, to Mick Schumacher. All the rookies from the previous years. Jack Doohan as well, and Colapinto on the grid right now. These guys are actually doing really good. But yes, Behrman and Liam can be doing better. But if Liam keeps up this performance for the rest of the year, then he'll end strong. Saudi was a horror show. Gabby and Monaco was poor. Hadron only had poor moments in Australia. Yeah, the last great class of rookies was 2019. Colapinto seems to be getting more comfortable. The Alpine is just a dustbin. Yeah, De Vries is another one. De Vries. I think the top 3 rookies is Hadro, Alonso, and Bortoleto. This guy. Anyways, Bortoleto, well done on your 10, bro. Welcome to the 10 club. I think again. I think that's the second time he's gone on a 10. Anyways, next up, we've got his manager, Fernando Alonso. What do you rate Fernando's weekend out of 10? Now, if you just tuned to the stream, guys, welcome in. Every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend, we hop on the stream and we rate the drivers, which we're doing right now. Now, if you want to vote on the poll, all you have to do is type in Twitch chat the number that you want to vote for, and it'll pop up on the poll. If you're watching on YouTube right now, come join us on Twitch. That is where you can vote on the poll. And yeah, if you're enjoying yourselves, be sure to follow down below. Anyways, Fernando Alonso, P5 in an Aston. Now, the Aston was good, but did I think it was that good? I did not think it was going to be that good. Again, there is an argument that if the stars aligned even better than what they did, he might have been able to get pole, but I doubt it. Either way, best of the rest, P5 ahead of his teammate, not by a lot. Now, if you take into account that Stroll's shit, maybe Alonso's qualifying should have been better, but I think it's more props to Stroll for being so close to Alonso. Anyways, this is me being nitpicky. Alonso, best of the rest, beautiful. And then in the race, finished best of the rest as well. Finished only 17 seconds behind Leclerc, obviously managing an issue. And yeah, outperformed his teammate majorly. Stroll obviously lost a position and struggled a little bit. But yeah, Alonso, amazing. Finishing that car, putting that car exactly where it should be. 10 out of 10. I don't think this car was as strong in the race as you'd think. But yeah. Do you know what's weird though? And I'm sure a lot of you are going to agree with me with this. Even though Bortoleto and Alonso are both getting a 10, Bortoleto's 10 is better than Alonso's 10. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like I can't give Alonso a 9.5. Like, he qualified best the rest exactly where he should do. He beat his teammate, and he finished exactly where he should be. And he just had a perfect weekend. But Bortoleto getting a 10, like, he had an even more surprising race than Alonso. So maybe Bortoleto just gets 11 out of 10. Or we have to demote Alonso down to a 9.5, but I don't think that's fair. Because Alonso did nothing wrong this weekend, in my opinion. Unless someone wants to counter my point and tell me why I should give Alonso a 9 or 9.5. We don't have another race for 3 weeks, right? Nope. Grid is just too close. So having the rookies 5 or more places behind their teammate doesn't mean much. They can still be within 0.2. Sup, Sluffix on the stream. Some of you, Big Bill Williams and Megatron on the stream, guys. Ice Cold as well on the stream. Professional tractor driver, insane pace this weekend. One of the motorsport goats, but Alonso should still be a 10 in my opinion. Break tradition and give 9.9. Nope. Waffle Van Dorn. Alonso drove with a messed up back. That's one thing. Yeah, true. I forgot about this whole back situation as well. Only reason I give Gabby a 10 is because Aston had a really good setup, so I don't think they could have challenged Alonso. Also, we can't forget that there were doubts on whether Alonso is going to compete in Hungary this week. Yeah, true. Trash and retired. Ice Cold. And Zero Mana. Thank you guys for the follows. We're on the stream. All right. No one counted my point on why it should be a 9. Wait, Alonso is not a 10. 9 at best. Why would you say that, SVD? Let me know. I want to see what your counterpoint is. Bortoleto's poor moments is probably his crash in Silverstone. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, Bortoleto crashed in Silverstone. He crashed in Australia. Yeah, I forgot about that. No way Stroll is an 8 if Alonso is a 10. Well, yeah. Maybe we're harsh on Stroll. Maybe, okay, Stroll can be an 8.5 then. And then Liam's a 9. Yeah? Does that make more sense? Because I still don't think Stroll's better than Liam this weekend. Liam did better than his teammate, Stroll didn't. And Liam moved up a position, Stroll didn't. I think that's fair. 8.5 for Stroll, 9 for Liam, 10 for Alonso, 10 for Bortoleto. Because if I move Stroll up to Liam's rating, that makes no sense. He could have still improved. Didn't maximize the car in the race. You don't think Alonso maximized the car in the race? I mean, I disagree personally. Anyways, majority of you guys saying 10 and agreeing. But I do agree, it's a hard one. Saying Bortoleto and Alonso both had a 10 when I think Bortoleto did better is weird, but it's also like we can't demote points from Alonso because he did nothing wrong. It's just Bortoleto had an insane, more insane weekend. Anyways, moving on to the top 4 now, the big boys. We have got Charles Leclerc. Oi, oi, oi. I think this is going to be polarizing. And I don't think people are going to agree with me either for what I rate. I'm trying not to read chat so I can just rate without looking at it. But Charles, in qualifying, perfect. 10 out of 10. Absolutely outstanding. I did not expect him to get pole. He's out-qualified his teammate by 3/10 in Q2. He's put it onto pole when it shouldn't be on pole. Out-qualifying Piastri. Out-qualifying Lando. Yeah, absolutely insane. And then in the race, he's held on to the lead. He's held on to the lead for the first 2 stints. But as soon as they put on that final stint, everything fell to bits. Oscar got past, and then Lando was on the better strategy. And he's finished down in P4 behind George Russell. I think Leclerc's had a phenomenal weekend. It's such a shame that he had an issue with his car. And I think I'm going to give Leclerc a 9. I think the reason why I'm giving him a 9 and not a 10 is, one, I can't give him a 10 because we don't know if he would have held on to the win if he had the car. So it can't be a perfect weekend because we didn't get to see it. But I'm also knocking off 0.5 because at the end of the day, Lando had the best strategy. And just like you'll see in a second when I criticize Piastri, Leclerc was the same. He didn't end up doing the better strategy, and that's partly his fault. But also, I'm knocking 0.5 off because I just feel like he could have done a better job of managing the car. I don't know. Like, I'm just like 42 seconds. He lost 42 seconds in one stint. How? But yeah, it's a hard one to rate. It's a hard one to rate because he was so perfect this weekend, and then it's just like, yeah. Anyways, I'm going 9. I feel like if you go lower than 9, you look at the result more than the performance personally. Anyways, what do you guys say? Read the X post. It's probably something I've already seen best do. Leclerc had plank wear issues. Yeah, we knew that. That's how he ruined his race, yeah. Alonso just went with the one stop since the very beginning, slowing the whole grid and saving tires from the start and executed the plan perfectly. You saw that someone voted a 3? Gabby better than Alonso, but both deserve a 10. Was he supposed to get another 50 seconds of the race? Is that maximizing? Marvoy, we're on the stream, dude. At least let him win here. That Russell thing was dumb. Sup, Alabama. He had damaged chassis. Nothing polarizing about it. He would have won if the Ferrari could make a suspension. Reason not a 10 for me, but a 9 because the Russell incidents were a bit stupid. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. I think there's just little things that take away from Leclerc's what would have been a perfect weekend. Not having the right strategy. Even if he had the right car, right? Even if he had no suspension issues, none of that. Would have he still been able to beat Lando on the better strategy? No. So you got to knock 0.5 off because he contributed to not having the best strategy. Then taking into account the fact that he had those little incidents with Russell, which weren't great, but then again, he wouldn't have been in that overrules for the car being shed, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, yeah. I guess not his fault, but isn't he to be blamed a little bit for the George incident? Yeah, true. Russell moved under braking too, did he? He was quicker than Piastri. He did not do the one stop because it was a gamble. Great quali, great first 2 stints, damaged car, but I'm deducting points for the penalty. Yeah, I forgot you got a point penalty, yeah. The car was faster in the first stint than the last. I'm sure that is not on him. You're reducing points because he couldn't navigate the Ferrari mess in the race. Okay, I take that back. Charles Leclerc needs to start thinking about his career. Ferrari are crap and screw him over time and time again. We all know the love him and he loves them, but it's time for him to make a difficult decision if he wants to win a championship. I spoke about this weekend on the stream. I think Leclerc has no choice. And no, that's a bad way to word it. I think Leclerc's best option is to stay at Ferrari. You go to McLaren, it's a risk. And you got to compete against Lando or Piastri. And there's not going to be a seat there anyway. Mercedes could be a place he could go. But again, would you rather be the number 1 driver at Ferrari or the number 2 driver or equal driver at Mercedes? Red Bull? No. And there's nowhere else to go. Being at Ferrari is the same amount of percent risk. No, what's the word? You got the same amount of percent of winning a championship at Ferrari as Leclerc as you do at Mercedes and McLaren. Like, maybe after the new regs, we go into 2026 and we go, wow, Mercedes power units are by far the best. Then I would understand the argument of him having a better place to go. But right now, coming into 2026, he's got the same amount of chance of winning at Ferrari as he does at McLaren and Mercedes, next to the drivers that he needs to compete against. Yeah. Charles should wait until Caddy become good. How's it better strat if it was called gamble in the race? Well, it ended up being the better strat. Something tells me that he will go to Aston. But do you think he is going to be the number 1 much longer with Lewis around? Yes. I think even if Lewis... Oh, well, yeah, sorry, I get your point now. He would be equal with Lewis if Lewis could actually perform. That's true. Yeah. The 2-stop was the best strategy that allows you to overtake from the start to the end of the race, but the 1-stop was a gamble that was too risky. Like, look at Lando, who is sitting duck for Piastri. If Merc will be as dominant as we think they will be, then that will take the rest of the grid to at least 2032 to catch up, you reckon? I don't think he'll ever leave Ferrari. Yeah, I've always said this as well. Like, I think a lot of people's dream is to win a World Drivers' Championship. And I think Leclerc's dream is to drive for Ferrari. And I think it will be very hard for Leclerc to sacrifice his dream of driving for Ferrari for a up-in-the-air chance of winning a championship. You know what I mean? Like, he told his dad he was driving for Ferrari. Jules Bianchi was meant to drive for Ferrari. I think it's much harder than you think for him to leave. And I think for him, I think Leclerc understands that he's got a long career and he would rather win 1 championship with Ferrari than win 2 or 3 with Mercedes. That's just my take, I think. Yeah. And if I was in Leclerc's position, I'd probably want the same. I'd rather win one championship with Ferrari than a few with Mercedes, or get a couple extra race wins with Mercedes. I think it's more at the end of Leclerc's career, we're going to look at him and be like, wow, he's one of the greatest drivers. We'll probably end up looking at Leclerc and be like, he's one of the greatest drivers to never win a championship. Or we'll end up he'll be like a Senna, you know what I mean? Where obviously Senna's career was cut short because of his death, but he'll be one of those drivers where we'll look back. I'm not comparing Charles to Senna, by the way, but he'll be one of those drivers where we'll be like, man, what could have been if there was if his career played out differently, you know what I mean? Or if he was able to show his talents in an era where it was just kind of dominated by Merc and Red Bull for forever. But yeah. Anyways, let's move on from Leclerc. I saying 9. Majority of you guys saying 9 as well. All right, let's move on to the top 3. Next up, we have got George Russell. What do you rate George out of 10? Get your votes in. If you're just tuning in, all you got to do is type in Twitch chat what you vote on the poll. So, George, in qualifying, qualified P4. Only 50 milliseconds off of pole. Fucking insane. I did not expect that Merc to be anywhere near pole after seeing how bad it was. I thought it was going to be... I never thought I'd say this, but him out qualifying the Astons is actually impressive. Like, I did not think Merc was going to be better than Aston coming into Q3. So he's done an awesome job in qualifying P4 and only being 15 milliseconds off. Yes, maybe if the stars aligned, he could have got on pole, or if he had just done a little bit better. But I think getting P4 on that Merc this weekend was insane. So I would give him a 9.5 for quali. Then, in the race, he managed to finish ahead of Leclerc. Now, obviously, the reason he's finished ahead of Leclerc, was because Leclerc had issues. But guess what? Russell's put himself in a position to capitalize on Leclerc having issues, you know? And he's only finished 20 seconds off the leaders as well. I think Russell's had a great race. He's absolutely obliterated his team. I didn't even talk about Kimi because I forgot about him. He outqualified Kimi by 1.1 seconds in Q2 because Kimi made a mistake. Kimi finished P10. Russell finished P3. Kimi finished almost a lap down on Russell. Yeah, Russell's had an awesome weekend. I'm giving Russell a 9. I'm giving Russell a 9. Part of me feels like he shouldn't be rated the same as Leclerc because I think Leclerc did a little bit better. So maybe Russell 9. Maybe I should give Leclerc a 9.5. But yeah, does nothing. P3. Probably needs Lando to DNF so he can win. What more could have been done? True. What more could have been done, actually? Yeah, true. I mean, I guess he wasn't as good as Leclerc, but I don't know. Turn 2 purples into a pole for once. True. Oh, it's so hard to rate. Because, yeah, what more could be done? Maybe he does deserve... Maybe him and Leclerc both deserve a 9.5. Oh, it's too hard, man. It's too hard. Ramsey, thank you for the follow. Making Russell's he turned into me into a valid point is unforgivable. Moving under braking, though, yeah, a 9 is good. Yeah, what could have he done? Too many what ifs, yeah. I guess the argument is he wouldn't have finished P3 if it wasn't for Leclerc dying. So I'll leave him at 9. Majority of you guys say 9 as well. All right. We move on to the 2 controversial boys. The 2 championship contenders. Oscar Piastri. What do you rate Oscar out of 10? Get your votes in on the poll. Okay. So, Oscar, in qualifying, gets out-qualified by Leclerc. That should not be happening. But the track condition changed. Guess what? The track condition changed for Charles Leclerc as well. And every other driver lost 1 to 2 tenths with the track condition changing. Guess what? McLaren lost 4 to 6 tenths with the track condition changing. I don't think there's an excuse about the track condition changing. They've all got to adapt, and Piastri and Norris didn't adapt. Thankfully, though, he did beat his teammate, which put him in the position to fight Leclerc and have the preferred strategy, which didn't end up being the preferred strategy. But yeah, in the race, he got stuck behind Leclerc. He lost a lot of time behind Leclerc. Leclerc showed he was a better driver. Yeah, Leclerc showed he was a better... Leclerc showed he was a better driver than Piastri, I think, in the race. And the only reason Piastri got past was because of Leclerc's issues. He then went on to make the wrong decision with the strategy. Yes, we could sit here and be like, oh, Lando got lucky. At the end of the day, Oscar didn't manage the situation that he was in as good as Lando, and he finished in P2 behind Lando, and couldn't get the overtake done on Lando at the end. Yes, it's hard to overtake, absolutely, but you know, he went for that lunge. I think that was a risky move. You know, I think why he did that move was fine, because he wanted to leave it open for the last lap. But then there's the argument that maybe he should have waited for the last lap to get the overtake, and he could have got the overtake done. Yeah. At the end of the day, this was hard because the same thing happened in 2023 when we're talking about Max. When you're in the best car, you need to drive flawlessly to get a 10. And when you're getting out-qualified by Ferrari, out-raced by Ferrari, and then getting beaten by your teammate on strategy, yeah. How do I rate this, though? Like, the way I look at it is like, if Leclerc was in the car, if Russell was in the car, if Alonso was in the car, they'd be beating Piastri this weekend. So I can't rate them higher. I can't rate them higher than those guys. Like, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think 7 is a good weekend, and he's had an above good weekend. So I'm gonna get 7.5. I think. I don't know. Maybe that's too low. I don't know. I don't know what to do. It's too hard. Like, he should be winning the race, and he's lost to his teammate, and he should be qualifying on pole, and he's lost to Leclerc. Anyways, let me read what you guys have to say, and then maybe I'll change my mind. Basket Phantom on the stream, dude. 7.5. Started second, finished second. You sound so much like Rocket Powered Mohawk when you say guess what? Oh no, that's not a good thing. How's Bros getting 9? He didn't really try to get past Leclerc. He was focused about Lando. Well, that cost him the win then in the end, didn't it? If he had to outqualify Leclerc, he would have won. If he had got past Leclerc, he would have won. Ponden, I feel like you sound like Oscar and look like Pierre. Thank you. I look like Pierre. I've not heard how I sound like Oscar though. I think he could have passed Lando if not for the lockup. I had a huge tire delta in my option. In my opinion, he should have gotten ahead of him. He said it was the closest he could get. Who cares what the driver says though? Like, of course, Piastri's gonna say, "Oh, it's the closest he could have got." Like, Joe's always gonna make themselves sound better. He also went for the overtake too early. He could have waited and tried to get closer. I feel like I'm in a tricky spot here because if I rate Piastri high, Lando fans are gonna go, "Ah, yeah, of course you criticize Lando, but then when Piastri blah blah blah, you don't rate him low." And then I rate him low, and it's like, "Wow, you're so harsh on McLaren. You hate McLaren." It's just like, I can't win. That's very fair. I think it's fair, yeah, given the fastest car in the grid. Okay, put it this way. If Max in 2023 finished P2 in a race because he made the wrong strategy call and got out qualified by Charles Leclerc, I think he'd be getting a fucking 6 out of 10. We can say you should have waited till the last lap, but we can never know. Simone said he went from losing to Charles to losing to Lando. Lando lost 2 positions off the start after qualifying P3 with an obviously superior car to grid and beat Oscar. And you guys are giving Oscar a 9, so Lando is a 10. Yeah, that's a good point. I can't rate Piastri higher than this because then I have otherwise I have to give fucking Lando a 10, and he did not have a 10 weekend either. If my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike. You look like Bernie Eccleston. Okay, bro. In the end, it's more important to focus on the championship, not the race win. Well, he fucking lost the championship, didn't he? He lost championship points to Lando. He lost 7 to be exact. Lando was 8. He braved it on strategy and worked out. In the end, it's important to focus on the championship, not the race, and the McLaren isn't that Red Bull. Got out-qualified by Leclerc, but did out-qualify his teammate. Got out-raced by Leclerc, and got out-strategied by his teammate. I think that's a 7.5, guys. I'm sorry. Out-qualified by Leclerc, out-raced by Leclerc, out-strategied by his teammate. And technically out-raced by his teammate because he couldn't get past. I'm going 7.5. And I think I have to stick to that because I've been so critical of Lando this year. And if I give Piastri higher, I think that's just me being biased. You think 7.5 is generous? Interesting. What's YouTube chat saying? 9 is fair because he started... wait. 7.5 is crazy. What the fuck? I just drew him. What would you give him out of 10? My guy, rude. Is this your full-time job? I do content full-time. Yeah, Silky Sawyer. He should have prepared his overtake and passed Lando on the last lap. Lando fan here, but 7.5 is too low for Piastri. Interesting. And based off his other weekends, it's not as good, so 7.5 is fair. Well, yeah, that's the other thing. compared to his other weekends where we've given him 8.5s and 9s, I don't think this is as good. I don't know, man. I think that too many people are looking at this result and being like, he only lost it because of luck. I don't think there's luck when there's no safety car. I think there's making the right decision and making the wrong decision. He made the wrong decision. And none of this would have happened if he didn't get out-qualified by Leclerc. Because I'm not giving Lando a 10. Or probably even a 9. I don't know yet. Because he should have got out-qualified by Leclerc either. They would... Put it this way. This is the thing you've... No. I've figured out the reason why... I've figured out the perfect point as to why I'm rating Piastri 7.5. If Leclerc didn't have his issues and he won the race, what are you giving Piastri for finishing P2 behind Leclerc? And what are you giving... what are you giving Piastri for finishing P3 behind Leclerc and Lando? You're giving him lower. So why does Leclerc getting eradicated from the race change Piastri's rating? It doesn't. He still was slower than Leclerc, and he still got out-strategized by Leclerc. And if Leclerc didn't have problems, he would have finished P3 behind both of them. One because he got out-qualified by one of them, and one because he got out-strategized by them. No, I'm sticking with 7.5. I'm being based right now. I'm sticking with 7.5. I think I've just cooked there. Anyways, I'm going to 7.5. What are you guys saying? 9! No, you can't give Piastri a 9, guys. Look. Opinion's opinion, but how is a driver who got out-qualified by a Ferrari, out-raced by a Ferrari, and out-strategized by his teammate getting a 9? In the fastest car on the grid, by the way. He would have finished P3. This spit on my monitor. He would have finished P3 if Ferrari had a... If the Ferrari didn't fall off. You don't know that because you don't know Ferrari wouldn't have fucked Charles' strategy up in other ways. Wait, what do you mean? He was on the same strategy as Piastri. Anyways, we're gonna have to agree to disagree here. I think it depends how you look at McLaren. Do you see a team that is just got the fastest car and aren't working that hard for the wins, or are you seeing a team that's like they should be winning? Because that's the way I look at them. Is like they got the fastest car, they should be winning. In no world would Oscar have finished P3. Wait, what do you mean in no world Oscar would have finished P3? If Leclerc didn't have his problems, Lando still would have won, and they would have finished. It would have been Lando, Charles, Piastri. Because Piastri was behind Charles. The only reason he got past Charles is because Charles had a problem. He had tie delta to both Charles and Lando. But he didn't get past Lando. Wait, am I missing something? But he didn't get past Lando's. How would he got... Well, maybe he could have got past Charles and finished P2. But he didn't get past Lando. Because he ran out of laps. He would have still got him past Charles. But Charles was 3 seconds up the road from than Lando. And Charles was lapping quicker than Piastri for most of that race. Ferrari was faster this weekend, so of course they're going to get outraced. Though, would it have changed if they qualified? I don't think so. You reckon Leclerc would have got past Piastri? Is that what you're saying? Anyways, let's move on from Piastri. Majority of you guys giving Piastri a 9. I disagree. All right, moving on to P1. Mr. Lando Norris. What do we rate him? Out of 10. The poll is up. Get your votes in. Okay. Lando, just like I said with Piastri, in qualifying, got out-qualified by a Ferrari. Whilst everyone else, the excuse for the McLaren boys was, oh, the track conditions changed. One, everyone has to drive in the same track conditions. And two, Everyone else lost 2 tenths. They lost 4 to 6 tenths. So there's no excuse. They did bad in qualifying. But most importantly, Lando also got out-qualified by Piastri. Lando got out-qualified by his teammate and by a Ferrari. It wasn't a good qualifying from Lando. To be honest, he's kind of lucky that he got P3 and not... both of them got lucky that they got P2 and P3 and not losing out to Russell and the Astons as well. Anyways, out-qualified by his teammate, out-qualified by Ferrari. Not a great qualifying given the car that they had this weekend. Then, heading into the race, Lando lost 2 positions off the start. Are you kidding me? What are you doing? Lost 2 positions off the start. Took a while to get past both of them. Actually, he got past Alonso, but did he get past Russell? I don't even think he got past Russell, right? He got stuck behind Russell. Yeah? Russell bought. Yeah, so he didn't even get past Russell. So he got stuck behind Russell as well. Then he went long. Now, this is the thing that's going to change these ratings a lot. Differentiate people's ratings a lot. Some people are going to think Lando is lucky. The only reason that he got P1 was because he got lucky with the strategy because he did bad. Whereas I look at it as I'm rating him badly because of his quali. I'm rating him badly because of his start to the race. But then I'm bumping his rating up because in that moment, he was in a bad position and he made the right decision and won the race from it. That's not luck. That's making the right decision. And I think criticizing Lando for that is just ridiculous to me. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, he was the best driver this weekend. No, he wasn't. Leclerc was a better driver than him. Russell was a better driver than him, in my opinion. And Oscar, I think, was a better driver than him this weekend. So Lando didn't win the race because he was a better driver. He won because he had the better strategy and it played out for him. So yeah, I don't know what to rate Lando because I've just said I think Piastri was the better driver, but how much more points does he get because he had a better strategy? You're way too harsh on McLaren. They got 1-2 at the end of the day. The only reason they got 1-2 was because Leclerc's car farted on track and it broke itself. If you compare to different Grand Prix in the same gap, you have them higher, just my thoughts. But they were losing to a Ferrari, and it all comes back to quali. If this is Monaco, and they finished P2, P3 behind Leclerc, they'd be getting lower ratings. Honestly, 10 for doing God's work, even after all the beefsteaks. All right, let me read what you guys are saying in chat. If Piastri is 9, Lando is 10. Can't be 10 with his start. Or his qualifying. Literal proof people are voting off vibes. 10 for being absolute Chad after all the mistakes. Bad qualifying and very bad start, but chose the right strategy. So I think 8 or 8.5 is fair. Splashy. That's the best message I've seen in chat today. Russell boxed both times. Does quali really matter if he finishes P1? Yeah, because we're rating the performance. And yeah. But McLaren favored Lando. But Oscar's my bae. Fuck off, y'all. I still think that the 2-stop was faster, but he had a great tire management. I'd give more credit to that. I agree. I don't agree with the 2-stop being fast, but I agree that his tire management was great. Honestly, 10 for doing God's work. Whatever that. Lando actually had a really great start. He just boxed out by Oscar, which led him to losing positions. Where that's his fault is 50-50. I mean, you make a good point, but I think his tactic of going down the inside was pretty poor, in my opinion. Clement, welcome to the stream, dude. Anyone else think Will sounded happier on the radio than Lando at the end? I mean, I guess Will played a part in getting the strategy right. I disagree. Lando was the better driver. Interesting, Tom. That start was horrible. Yeah, honestly, Norris's comeback after that start was epic. You think Norris was better driver this weekend? I mean, he got out-qualified by Piastri. And then I do think Piastri was a faster driver. But I guess there is the argument. If Piastri was in... if Lando was in Piastri's shoes, could have he gotten past Leclerc? Maybe Piastri's race pace was, but you know, we're not taking this into account. Was Piastri's race pace poor? Is there? I actually haven't thought about this. Everyone's talking about, Lando made the strategy work. Oh, he's lucky, blah, blah. Maybe the two-stopper, maybe the two-stopper was the better strat. And Piastri was just poor at doing it. And Lando would have actually won if he was with his race pace on the two-stopper. We just never know. I don't know. There's too many variables. Lando losing 2 places off the start, both of them being out fucking qualified by Leclerc, and Leclerc's car falling to bits. Strategic masterclass from him and great defending against Oscar, regardless of some biased people who have weird agendas against Lando will say the opposite. The start had nothing to do with Lando's ability. He was boxed in by Oscar. I still think he made a poor tactical decision though of going down the inside. What if they were switched? Would have Lando beaten Oscar? Same thing happens. Is stuck behind Charles till Fry changed tire pressures. Problem was Oscar's prime goal was being ahead of Lando, not necessarily being ahead of Charles. Yeah, true. There's so many variables. I think I've come to the conclusion after speaking aloud and listening to your guys' opinion. I think I've come to the conclusion that, and again, we'll never know. I think Lando's race pace was better than Piastri's. And I think the reason Oscar lost the Grand Prix was not just some luck and not just because Lando made a better strategy decision, but I think because Lando had better race pace and it didn't matter whether it was the 2-stop or the 1-stop. I think Lando was just quicker. And because of that, the 1-stop was able to work out a lot better. So with that said, I'm going to give Lando... I give Lando an 8.5, but I'm not giving him any higher than that because he lost 2 positions off the start, which is poor. And he got out-qualified by his teammate and a Ferrari, which is poor. And, you know, there is obviously an argument that... There's not even an argument. It's just a fact. I think both of them lose to Leclerc. I think both of them lose to Leclerc if he didn't have issues with his car. So I can't give Lando a 10 or any higher than 8.5 because they still would have lost to Leclerc because they didn't out-qualify him. This all stems from them getting out-qualified by Leclerc. If one of them or both of them don't out-qualify Leclerc, happy days. They fucked themselves by getting out-qualified by Leclerc. As simple as that. McLaren pit crew gets 11 out of 10. That's facts. Picoro, Abiz, and Gaming. Thank you guys for the follows. What the hell? He is boxed in. He couldn't go to the outside anyway. What's this? Wait. I keep seeing this now in heaps in chat about Lando being boxed in. There's nothing Lando could do. He could be boxed in. He was boxed in. Well, I'm looking at the highlights right now. Yeah, Lando's consciously made the decision to go for the inside line and boxed himself in. Like, yeah, it's a little bit of luck, but I mean, he still could have followed Piastri down the straight longer or gone on the outside. I can't show it because I'm streaming on YouTube right now, but yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna leave Lando at 8.5. I think his rating gets bumped up because of winning the race from good race pace and strategy. But I don't think it could be higher than that because I think Leclerc would have won if he didn't have issues with his car, meaning he's the better driver and I'm doing performance ratings. I think Piastri had a better qualifying, which put him in the position to have a better race, but he ultimately fumbled it with his race pace and the strategy decision. I don't like the whole, Lando got lucky. So yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to leave it at that. Majority of you guys saying 9 for Lando. I disagree. I think the mistake on lap 1 and the poor qualifying can't get him a 9 because Leclerc's a 9. Russell's a 9. He's not a 9, I don't think, with those mistakes. Anyways, that is it for the driver ratings. Who were our drivers of the weekend? 10 for Alonso, 10 for Bortoletto, and who is the other one? 9 for Leclerc and George, I think. Stroll got 8.5. Lawson, oh yeah, Lawson 9. Or did we bump Liam up to 9.5? No, Liam's 9. Okay, so we got 2 10s and 3 9s. Damn, son. Okay, for anyone who might disagree with me giving Lando an 8.5 or Piastri a 7.5, do you think Lando and Piastri had a better weekend performance-wise than Liam, Russell, and Leclerc? I'm going to assume you're going to say no. So then that just mathematically we can't put Lando or Piastri higher than them. I know it might look low. It might look like low. Oh no, Lando 8.5, but he won. Oh, Piastri 7.5, he got P2. But like, in comparison to everyone else's performances, that's just how it works. That's just how it works. You're in the fastest car and they're not getting pole. Piastri's in the, it was on, Piastri lost to his teammate who was 2 positions down behind him at one point in the race. You know what I mean? I think it's just mathematically not possible to rate them higher than that. I'm sorry that I'm rating your favorite drivers low, but it's not because they're poo. It's just because other people did better. What is Hamilton? I missed it. What did we give Hamilton? I think we gave Hamilton like a 4 or something, or a 3. I can't remember now. This has to have been the biggest fraud show of voting. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. That I didn't think it would be so hard, but those last like that nitty gritty end, like the top 7. Wait, no, what place did Max finish? 9? Since Max, the voting got a bit whack this week. George somehow always raises his ass off. Only Charles is better than both. You don't think Russell was better than Piastri and Lando this weekend? I mean, Russell drove flawlessly. Lando and Piastri didn't. That would be my counterpoint to that. Anyways, guys, that is going to wrap up the driver ratings. Thank you all for joining me. I really do appreciate it. YouTube, I'm going to end the stream there. Come join us on Twitch. But yeah, we do driver ratings like this every single Monday after a Grand Prix weekend. So join me after the Dutch Grand Prix. No Grand Prix for 3 weeks, but we will be back for the Dutch Grand Prix. But yeah, if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe down below. Be sure to like. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't know when the next YouTube stream will be because obviously we got a 3-week break. But either way, I'll see you for the Dutch Grand Prix. Bye-bye, YouTube.